Welcome to The World Awaits.
Travel tales to inspire your wanderlust.
I'm Kirsty Bedford, journalist, editor and travel writer.
And I'm Belinda Jackson, author, travel journalist and columnist, and we're your weekly co-hosts. Welcome back to The World Awaits. How are you all?
Hi, everyone.
How was your week, Kirsty?
Oh, my God, it was amazing. I had the best week. I was on assignment for Vacations and Travel magazine doing the Aqaba Walk, which is in the Flinders Ranges. I had no expectations. I just really wasn't aware of what this was going to be like. And it was a 3-day hike in Wilpena Pound. We actually walked through Wilpena Pound and then also the Alder Ranges. And it was just stunning. And you can take a little sneak peek at my reel on Insta at Kirsty Writes. But basically, we walked for about 6 hours each day, and then we slept in swags, and it was my first time sleeping. Belle's laughing because she knows how much I don't
hate camping.
Hate's a strong word, but I'm not a huge camping fan, and but I have to say I was really surprised by how much I loved it. They had lovely little platforms that you slept on, and it was actually really warm. And I mean, who doesn't want to sleep under the stars in the Flinders Ranges, right? It's such a surreal landscape and a really bucket list experience. And I think that combination just made me have a whole new appreciation for the experience.
Yeah. I mean, Flinders Ranges it's just incredible, especially for stargazing. So when can we and where can we read your story?
So the story will be in the next issue of Vacations and Travel magazine, which comes out in newsstands in a few months. So if you follow me on Insta at Kirsty Writes, I'll put a little piece up there so you know when it comes out and you can read all about it. And that magic part of the world if it's on your travel to-do list.
Fabulous.
And what about you, Belle? What have you been up to?
Well, I've had my head down this week. I've been writing about Dubai hotels and perfume in Oman, but I also managed to head away to the MCG to watch Collingwood beat the Adelaide Crows. I better say, I'm not a huge AFL fan. I did take my cousin with me, who is rusted on Collingwood, so she was just, losing her mind. And we went up into the President's Room for the Sir Doug Nicholls round, which is named after the Yorta Yorta player, and it recognises Indigenous players and the culture in the AFL, which I think is really great because Collingwood has long recruited from that area. And also Port Adelaide has always been very strong at bringing, finding incredible talent, particularly in Central Australia. And as a disclaimer, I was a guest of Emirates, which has been a long-term sponsor of the Collingwood Football Club. So it was pretty fantastic. It was a very cold day, so we stayed in the President's Room beside the glass and just watched the match, and it was amazing. It was a really great experience.
Talk about having all bases covered, writing about luxury Dubai hotels and perfume in Oman, and then footy.
I am nothing if not versatile.
I'm not actually a massive fan of the footy either. I mean, being a Kiwi, it's all about rugby union. But the atmosphere at MCG does always carry me through, and the boys obviously love it. But I think for them, it's all about the pies and not the team. Just eating pies at every quarter.
They had pies in the quarter as well because we had this beautiful 3-course meal, and then in the quarters they would bring out more food. Like the appropriately coloured macarons and things like that, and pies, party pies. I was like, oh, this feels like I'm at the footy now. So away from footy, this week we are talking about accessible travel. And did you know that Australians with disabilities spend $8 billion annually on tourism services? In fact, people living with disabilities take around 9 million day trips each year, and that accounts for more than 20% of all day trips. That's an astonishing amount of money, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah, and Chief Executive Officer of Spinal Life Australia, Mark Townend, says that's further proof that we need to make travel more accessible and inclusive for both local and international visitors. And he wants 2025 designated as the National Year of Accessible Tourism to show Australia's inclusivity and lead to long-term positive change for visitors and residents alike.
Yeah, so in light of that, and with almost 1 in 5 Aussies currently living with a disability, we thought we'd cover off some of the best accessible tourism experiences currently available in Australia. So for those who love nature, and as you know, we do love a good walk, Alltrails.com has a list of the best wheelchair-friendly trails around Australia, which includes the Three Sisters Walk in the Blue Mountains. I think you did some of that recently, didn't you, Kirsty?
Yes, I did. And it is, great, very accessible.
Yeah, I mean, there's ramps around. It's a 1 kilometre loop with ramps everywhere, and the views are absolutely breathtaking. But if you want to stretch out for something a bit longer, there's the Perth Foreshore Walk, which is also a busy biking and walking trail, and it's wheelchair accessible. And in Victoria, try the 13-kilometre out and back trail near Cockatoo. It's open all year round, and you can take the dog too.
Oh, that's good, isn't it? And for those who love a bit of adventure, Threadbow has adaptive ski lessons. This is amazing. I didn't realise they did this. So it's actually specialised equipment where those in a wheelchair can experience skiing. So someone's sort of behind you and they are pushing you down. So it gives you the same experience of like a ski experience for those who are actually unable to stand on the skis themselves. And in the Gold Coast water sports can take you parasailing, and wheelchair users can also take advantage of Quicksilver's water-powered lift to snorkel the Great Barrier Reef. So it's the only one of its kind, this water-powered lift in the Great Barrier. And it means that when you're in a wheelchair that you can swim directly off the lift chair. So you're sitting sort of above in a lift and then they lower it down, and so that you can snorkel.
Oh, amazing, amazing. And if you love wildlife, on Phillip Island, the Penguin Parade and the Koala Conservation Reserve provide sensory inclusive tours and limited mobility access. And for wildlife spotting in the wild, catch a wheelchair accessible ferry from Perth to Rottnest Island. I saw some photos from Rottnest recently, and it just looks like that's where they have all of the quokkas, isn't it?
I'm desperate to go. Yes, I'm desperate to go to Rottnest. I'd love to go there only because of the quokkas. But no,
I don't want a quokka selfie.
Yeah,
really, they love it. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, the beaches, the colours look. I mean, it's that typical WA colours, right? Beautiful. And travellers with limited hearing, mobility, or vision can taste their way through the vines and wines at boutique Puddle Duck Vineyard near Hobart. Or you can create your own gin and rum at Bavay Distillery in Brisbane's swanky River Makers Precinct. So lots of food and wine experiences too. And we'll put a link in the show notes because there's that Tourism Australia accessible website which actually provides a lot of these where we pulled them from. And it's also worth checking out travelwithoutlimits.com.au, which is Australia's only disability-specific magazine. And that's run by Julie Jones, whose son Braden has cerebral palsy, and she's remarkable and really has done a lot for ensuring that people with disabilities have accessibility and publishing and publicising all of those. So let's all do what we can do to support Mark and Julie and all of those with in the disability industry, and by asking tour operators when we visit them what they're doing. Because if we are questioning it and asking what they're doing to support people with a disability and if they have accessibility, then we're keeping them accountable. And, that's responsibility of all of us, because travel should really be accessible to everyone. So we'll put all the links in the show notes.
You're listening to The World Awaits. We'd love it if you could leave us a rating and review on your favourite podcast platform.
This week, I'm taking you to the Japanese island of Shikoku with the CEO of Explore Japan, Sanjib Khanal. We talk about why Japan's so popular for Australians right now, all the things to do on Shikoku and beyond, and why you need to get off the beaten track on your next trip to this culturally rich island. Welcome to the show, Sanjib.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
It's so great to have you here. Let's start by tell us a bit about how you got into the travel industry.
Oh, thank you. So when I was 18, one of my relatives had a travel agency back in Kathmandu, where originally I'm from. He was my mom's brother who recruited me. And from that agency, I did a lot of guiding, went to the Himalayas as a porter, and later became a guide. That was the start. I worked in planning and arranging trips to Nepal, Tibet, Bhutan, and India for 7 years until I came to Japan. And when I came to Japan 11 years ago, I learned Japanese language for 2 full years as a full-time student. And when I graduated the language school, I was offered a job by a local travel agent where I worked for 8 years before opening my own tour operator company.
Amazing. I mean, what an incredible achievement, only having learnt Japanese. But, it's such a challenging language to learn, but that's amazing. So tell us a bit about what you're doing now, and let's talk about, and you're based in Shikoku, so let's talk about where that is and how you get there.
Right. Thank you. I'm very excited about promoting travel to Japan. That's full-time job I'm doing now, especially this incredible place called Shikoku. I run a company called Explore Japan, which creates tour packages for international tourist agencies on off-the-beaten tracks of Japan, including Shikoku and the Central Inland Sea and other not very known areas. Shikoku is one of Japan's main islands, nestles just south of Honshu. And to get to Shikoku, you can fly into cities like Takamatsu, Matsuyama, Kochi, or Tokushima from major cities like Tokyo and others. If you love checking the bullet trains of Japan, you can reach Takamatsu through Okayama City. And once you are in Shikoku, in the major cities, it's all about hopping on the trains and buses, or even renting a car, or walking or cycling to explore further.
And I'll just let our listeners know, I actually went to Shikoku with you on a hosted trip. There were some travel agents, and then I was the only journalist on the trip, and that was pre-pandemic, and it was just such an incredible part of Japan to explore, and we'll get into some detail about Shikoku and what amazing experiences and what it offers travellers a bit later. But the nature there, and it's just such a beautiful part of the world. But Japan generally is just so popular right now with Australians. Well, why do you think that is? That, I mean, it literally is probably, and I think the statistics actually are showing it as the hottest destination right now of where Australians want to go and where they actually are going. The stats are showing really high tourist numbers into Japan. Why do you think that is?
I think it's very simple. Japan has become super popular with Australia, and it's really not hard to see why. I think there is just something special about the mixture of ancient traditions and modern life, not to mention how friendly and welcoming the people are. The food from all different parts of Japan is different and not only tasty, but also healthy. And let's not forget about the stunning natural beauty that seems to be everywhere you look.
Yeah, absolutely. The food definitely was remarkable when I was there. And the Japanese people are renowned for being very polite and considerate. And also they really value the tourists, don't they? It seems that it's one of the countries in the world where they actually, the Japanese people really understand the value of the tourism dollar, don't they?
Yes, they do. I think there is one word which is recently listed in the Oxford Dictionary. It's omotenashi. And omotenashi is a kind of tradition, culture, where guests are treated like the gods. Japan has this tradition for a while. For that reason, I think they really value their guests and tourists.
Added into the Oxford Dictionary. What's the word again for anyone who just missed that?
Yeah, it is called omotenashi. That's the word.
Amazing, and that's just real proof, isn't it, of the value that they put on tourists coming into the country. So, why getting to sort of moving to Shikoku a bit now? So, why do you think that people? I mean, and are you increasingly seeing people interest in sort of more off the beaten track areas? Shikoku's not strictly completely off the beaten track, is it? But it's certainly obviously away from more regional. I mean, I found it, I was very surprised how quiet it was when we were there. You know, we were driving around the island and sometimes seeing no one on the roads. I was very surprised at how quiet it was, given the beauty of the region. So do you think that people are increasingly seeking these places that are out of the main cities?
Right. If we did this podcast 10 years ago when I started working in tourism, I would say Shikoku is completely unknown, almost unknown place to the international tourists. But now it is getting more popular. To answer your question, well, everyone knows places like Tokyo and Kyoto. There's so much more to Japan, especially if you are willing to venture off the beaten path. Shikoku, for an example, offers totally different experience with its peaceful countryside, where you have plenty of options to walk or cycle or even to get involved in different adventure activities. It also has ancient pilgrimage trails, the history of which leads us back to the 9th century. The art islands, where the world-renowned artists have their contemporary arts installed. Amazing food, mountain, the food that comes from the rivers, sea, mountains, and the historical agricultural farms. The agricultural farms, some of which are even listed in the World Agricultural Heritage Site. I think when you came to Shikoku last time, you've been to one of these farms. And and a vibe that's just so laid back and welcoming. Also, recently we hear a lot about over-tourism, and Shikoku and other off-the-beaten areas are not filled with tourists. So these areas offer you a truly leisurely travel experience, I think.
Yes, and that's certainly something, like you say, that I loved about the experience was a complete immersion in the culture and with locals, and a really genuine experience without even trying. I mean, it's just an integral part of innate sort of part of the culture, isn't it? It's not like you have to seek out these sort of authentic local experiences. They are just everywhere.
Yes, it's already authentic. I mean, yeah, it's not even made for the tourist. You just go there and everything is there. Just it is like it has been for hundreds of years. So.
And people welcome you into their homes, and are open to teaching you traditional cultural aspects of the country, aren't they? So you can go and learn about bonsai and all sorts of things with the locals. What are some of those traditional sort of experiences that you can do in Shikoku?
Shikoku has a few surprises, I would say, up its sleeve, like the breathtaking Ear Valley. It's this logged untouched paradise that feels like something out of dream. And the fact that it's so close to Naoshima, Teshima, and 10 other islands where you can find contemporary art installation with its cool art just adds to the appeal. Also, Shikoku has a pilgrimage trail. It's called Shikoku Hendro, the history of which connects us back to the 9th century. A lot of people walk the trail, which spans around 1,200 kilometers and goes through the mountains, towns, riversides, seasides, markets, and other local areas. So people might be surprised to see how the temples, many of which were made hundreds of years ago, are preserved in nice status. People will also be surprised to see the lovely people, the locals, and as we talked earlier, the hospitality. And also adventure lovers. We also have beautiful cycling trails, including the Shimanami Kaido, which connects many small islands in the Seto Inland Sea through bridges, and of course stunning views. Of course, the one you mentioned, bonsai and other food, and there are pretty small experiences in every other alley. So it has really, really a lot to offer.
What are some of the standout, or what are some of the who are some of the locals that you can come and visit and learn about Japanese culture from?
You can go pretty much everywhere to visit the locals. Like in Takamatsu City, they offer some of these traditional experiences like lacquerware painting, which has been there for almost 300 years, or the temari balls, the colorful, vibrant balls, which were once used in the royal family for the pleasure of the girls, I hear. Or if you go to the Ia Valley, you can just go into the houses of the people there just to have food with them, or simple tea ceremony or things like that. Or even in Kochi, you can participate in people's houses or even the local restaurants to grill the bonito and have your lunch.
When I was there, we went and saw those. Can you tell us a little bit about those rope swings? They are remarkable. Those ancient bridges made out of the ropes that are in the Ia Valley.
Yeah, that actually connects us back to the 12th century, when Japan had a war area, I would say. We call it Genpei War. In Japanese, we call Genpei no Gassen. And one of the troops who got defeated in the war, they actually ran out of the place where the war happened, and they reached into the very rural areas of Ia Valley, and they made those bridges using the vine and some small tree planks, using all the natural stuffs. They made the bridge in such a way so that if their enemies who were chasing them, if their enemies arrived, they would just cut the bridges and the enemies would not be able to cross the river. Yeah, so for almost 800 years, the ambience of the bridge is kind of preserved, and now people can just cross the bridge, which are still made by using vine bridges. But now, because people cross the bridge and there is concerns about safety, it's kind of maintained every 3 years, renovated and maintained. But yeah, that those bridges, which were around 12 in all Ia Valley in the past, are only 3 now. But again, they are very historical bridges made just in the middle of nowhere, just with beautiful stunning scenery, with the river below, with completely blue water and the mountains surrounding it.
Yes, and that's exactly what I experienced, that stunning, beautiful aqua water, and then the contrast, because we were there in autumn, with the beautiful maple leaves and the red and the oranges of the trees. And walking across those bridges is not for the faint-hearted, but gosh, what an amazing experience to be able to do that. And that, I think, is the beauty of Shikoku, is that you get those incredible traditions, the stories behind those vine bridges, as well as the nature. But in addition to all of this exceptional nature, and there are a lot of hikes too, the pilgrimage that you can do, that you've touched on. There's also, each region in Japan is really well known for its food. So we actually stopped somewhere and had some, and I can't even, it was udon noodles, was it? Can we talk about what's the specific food that this region, because there's an argument, isn't there, about where actually they originated?
Right, yeah. Oh, oh man, yeah, you can't talk about Shikoku without mentioning the food you mentioned. We call that Sanuki udon. It's the region's claim to the culinary fame, and I think for good reason. The noodles are super chewy, and the broths are packed with flavor, and you can find them pretty much anywhere, especially in Kagawa Prefecture. Except for the noodles, when you go to Tokushima, we have other type of noodles called soba noodles, made of using buckwheat flour, and the buckwheats are produced at a 40-degree slope mountain. And because these people are continuing to farm these buckwheats and other crops and fruits in these 40-degree slope mountains, one part of this area nearby Ia Valley is also listed in one of the World Agricultural Heritage Site. Except that when you go to Ehime and Kochi, you have so many different fish varieties offered. some of the fish names, even I don't remember.
What are some of the things that you like to do, when you are on your off time in the region? What are some of your favourite things to do?
I love cycling and walking. So I have my small road cycle. I just cycle around, and there are pretty much a lot of small trails where you can cycle just along the river, just at the base of the mountain. At my free time, I also hop into a lot of these udon noodles, which are pretty much everywhere in the place where I live, called Takamatsu, inside Kagawa Prefecture. And also in Kagawa and nearby, there are a lot of small mountains which offer a lot of walking trails, very short walking trails, like 1 hour, 2 hours walking trails. I love walking to the top of these mountains, which would give really refreshing time to me. Yeah, and except that, I live with my family here. I pass time with my family.
Yes, of course. And we touched briefly on this, but I just want to circle back a little bit about Naoshima Island. So what a remarkable island that is, and so close to Shikoku. So can we talk about how you get there? It's just a short ferry ride, and also what you can do when you're there, because we did this incredible walk through these abandoned houses that have actually been turned into art installations. So you literally walk into the house and it's like they've all been transformed into varying forms of, some of them have rivers through them, some of them had sort of contemporary art, some of them were really traditional. And can you tell us a bit about that? Because gosh, what a remarkable thing to do to these houses that are now not lived in anymore.
Right. To get to Naoshima, it's around 40 minutes ferry ride from Takamatsu, part of Shikoku. So it's pretty much easy, as there are a lot of ferries every day. And once you get to Naoshima, the island is full with a lot of contemporary arts made by a lot of renowned artists from around the world. One of the most famous one are the pumpkins made by Yai Kusama. There are red pumpkins, there is yellow pumpkin. People love to visit around there. And about the houses you talked about, we call them the house projects. And back in 2000, in early 2000 or late 1990s, all the art projects started in Naoshima. And there is an organization called Benesse, who is pretty much into making all the art things happen there. They started renovating the houses, and while renovating the houses, they not only made the houses better, but also worked with the international artists to put some art installations. So like you mentioned, some of the houses have small ponds inside where the artists have their own art installed. Some of these houses are very dark inside. Some of these old temples are renovated to put the art installations. Some of the houses have these paintings, these amazing big paintings, which make you think about your life, while others make you think about how you throw your waste or garbage. Some of the houses are made, some of the arts in the houses are made by using the local garbage that was found in the seaside or inside the Naoshima town or things like that. So, yeah, to know more, one needs to come back and experience by themselves. But yes, it is an amazing island with the lovely people and the lovely houses. Not only houses, also a lot of museums inside where there are art installations from amazing people. And the vibe of which changes every day based on the day's temperature or the weather condition, or whether it is sunny or cloudy or things like that. So yeah, I highly recommend everyone to come and experience firsthand.
And it's such an incredible place, because you get almost a little taste of Japan in its entirety, just in that one little island, because not only you've got the art, the incredible food, the nature, but there are some really great restaurants. We went to a really amazing little restaurant in a laneway, and great wine bars and restaurants in the city as well. So you're getting sort of the best of both worlds.
Right, yeah. Even the restaurants and the food, there are a lot of people who still live there who are not really, they are connected but not connected to the art and others. They have their own lifestyle, and some of the people still go on fishing, take the fresh fish and others, and offer you as your dinner. The restaurant which we went together, that's owned by a fisherman who goes to fish in the morning, grabs some fish and offers the food in the evening. So yeah, and there also are other people who are in local business. Like there is a steel company called Mitsubishi. A lot of people work there. Also, there are like gardens and others. So when you get to the island, you not only be able to see the art, but also interact with the local and have the local food, and just walking around the small town is quite fascinating to me.
Yes, absolutely. And those Ritsurin, is it gardens? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Incredible, so beautiful, and with the boats, and we had the tea ceremony there. It's so stunning, it's spectacular. There is so much to cover about Shikoku, but we are unfortunately running out of time, and I have to ask you the last question that we ask all of our guests, which is, what's your most bizarre travel experience?
Oh, as for my weirdest travel experience, we do pretty much pre-arranged tours in Japan. So these are well managed, even in Explore Japan. My company, we go through a lot of series of reconfirmations to make the tour smooth. But accidents happen when you are on an adventure. So I think I have a lot of them. But when you talk about my bizarre travel experience, I remember walking in the Everest area back in Nepal when I was living in Nepal with my father. We were on a 4-day journey going through tall mountains around 3,000 meters from above the sea level. On second day of our journey, it started raining, and it rained heavily. As you know, the mountain weather frequently changes their mood. While walking, my father slipped one of his legs in the mud, and he started saying that it was so painful. But we had to walk, as we're just in the middle of the mountain forest, and we needed to get to the nearest village to get some support or rest. I still remember how hard it was for him to walk with his almost cracked legs. And for me to support him, we were walking in the rain with our father's painful leg and just in the middle of nowhere in the mountain. I think we walked for 4 hours in this situation. And when we reached the guest house in the nearby village, I massaged him with local pure alcohol. I think that worked as a medicine, and we took the day's rest before we started. Oh man, it was bizarre.
And what happened to his leg? Was he okay in the end?
Oh yes, we rested for a day, and I kept on massaging him with local alcohol. In the mountains, they make very strong alcohol, which kind of work like the pain reliever.
Drink it and massage it at the same time.
Yes, it's a yes, and we rested and we continued our journey on the second day.
Oh, look, it's been so wonderful talking to you, and thank you so much for giving us your insights into Shikoku Island.
Oh, I love the idea of the Art House project on Naoshima Island, and we'll put a link in the show notes to Shikoku and Naoshima. Our tip is how to eat in Hong Kong. This week I slipped out for a midweek dinner at Flower Drum, which, if you know Melbourne's dining scene, no one ever says no to, the best Cantonese restaurant in the city. It was an event by Hong Kong Tourism, which is in town to remind us how much we've loved this island as a stopover, especially in the days when we were all on the kangaroo route to London via Hong Kong, or as a destination in its own right. And the guest at our dinner was Melissa Leong, who is a food writer, cookbook author, and you might know her best as one of the MasterChef judges. This girl knows how to eat. She recommends mixing fine dining with a market street walk. So one of her top tips was taking a foodie tour through Central and Sheung Wan for the egg waffles, the wonton noodles, and the egg tarts. Yum! And another great day out is a seafood lunch and a walk on Lamma Island. And for her fine dining recommendations, Melissa plumps for the Michelin-starred Man Wah restaurant, which is on top of the Mandarin Oriental. This is where the MO started, and the flagship hotel is so beautiful. And while you're there in the hotel, nip into the Aubrey, which is currently number 17 on the Asia's 50 best bars list. Love a best bar. Love a good bar tip.
Those are such great tips. And Hong Kong has always had a super hot dining scene and currently has 79 Michelin-starred restaurants where you can blow the budget or eat the world's best food for $20. And we'll put Melissa's list and links in the show notes. And for more Hong Kong inspo, visit discoverhongkong.com.
Next week, tune in as my guest is Jenny Gray of Intrepid Travel. Jenny and I recently travelled together in Saudi Arabia, exploring its deserts and meeting the people in this intriguing location, one of the newest destinations for curious travellers. Our chat is timely as Intrepid has recently launched its new women's-only expedition to Saudi Arabia, which Jenny played an integral part in creating. It's going to be a cracker. Tune in.
Fantastic. Can't wait to hear that. And we'd love it if you could give us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. Click on our profile, scroll down to the bottom to ratings and reviews and hit those 5 stars. And if you're on Spotify, go to our main page and click the 3 dots underneath our photo.
That's a wrap for The World Awaits this week. Click to subscribe anywhere you listen to your favourite pods. And where can people find you, Kirsty?
I'm at Kirsty Writes on Instagram. That's Kirstie Writes, WRITES. And where can people find you, Belle?
You can find me at globalsalsa.com or on Insta at global_salsa.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.